Sunrise Tequila Bar.
This was approved by the planning board and it should not have been.
Sunrise Tequila Bar.
They have people running down the street to their real estate office to throw away bags of trash because it's overflowing. And I've sent pictures, you've all seen my pictures, with trash blocking the whole fire exit, emergency egress area. It's a fire hazard.
Sunrise Tequila Bar.
So you still have to take responsibility. You're the city solicitor. You're the mayor. So why can't we say no more music upstairs after 10 o'clock?
Sunrise Tequila Bar.
There's still no windows. So they need air conditioning and they need a solid surface roof, or they need to shut off the music at 10 o'clock like every other bar in town.
Fixes, turn off the music at 10 o'clock. You're done.
Thank you. That's it.
It's over.
Sunrise Tequila Bar.
Can we impose restrictions? And if they don't comply, we don't renew their license.
Sunrise Tequila Bar.
For Mike and Kathy, have you guys had any conversations related to the situation with the owners? I know we know them.
Sunrise Tequila Bar.
We will now open up public comment.
I don't care if they spend $1 million on windows. The sound's coming out the ceiling. What are you guys going to do about it?
Yeah, I know. And at the last meeting, Scott had set up a meeting. I don't know if those meetings took place or.
We can only do so much. The reality of the fact is it's a commercial zone. You live directly across the street from a bar, and there's going to be noise there.
I have a 3-story house. It's come right through the louvers. Second and third floor, we're affected by it. Hey, I can walk by Johnny's, and Johnny's pumping music in there. You don't hear it across the street. Memories too. They did a good job over there. Greenhouse, they shut off at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the summer, they're done. They go past Island House is calling, and you guys shut them down. I've been there 30 years. You guys approved it. What, do I have to end up suing personally or what,
Accountability and enforcement. So when this was first approved by the planning board, I just want to know who enforces what was decided at that time. So it was decided they were only going to be open till 10 o'clock. There's so many other things that our attorney put in that letter that they are not adhering to any of those. Besides the noise is horrible. What entity in the city is responsible to make sure they're adhering to everything they said they were going to do in the very beginning?
The conditions of their approval are enforced by the zoning board.
So when does the zoning board go out and check, what's going on there?
If there's any zoning complaints, they go out and check and.
Okay, well, what about the complaints now? Like who's enforcing that they're not complying?
I think what we've seen, again, from the public as far as things that the public thinks should be enforced are things that they may have said on the record, we're going to do this, but they were not conditions of their approval.
Okay.
So that the zoning board has no ability to enforce that.
Okay, what about the 10 p.m., no music?
So 10 p.m. is a ordinance for outdoor music. So
okay. It is an open air. It is open air. So does that count?
It's considered indoor space, so they're not held by the 10 p.m.s.
Somebody had said, maybe you guys should move. Okay, well, if I move, I sell my house, which is now depreciated because I'm living next door to a loud bar. That's ludicrous. They don't want to meet with us, and they don't want to be better neighbors because they've only paid $15,000 in fines. Is there any way we can tie compliance with the things that they said they were going to do with maybe their licensing or something like that?
There was a letter sent to the city by an attorney representing, many of the residents in the area. Our solicitor has reviewed that, in process of reviewing it. Again, there's what our solicitor has to determine is, again, what of those alleged violations are zoning violations, or are they just things, again, that people thought they were going to do, but that they failed to do based on the testimony given during the hearing.
It's not fair to the residents. They've been there, they've lived there. They shouldn't have to come in here meeting after meeting with no resolution. The letter that their lawyer wrote, in my opinion, needs to be addressed and replied to in writing. It was official. Did we officially reply?
We had meetings, numerous meetings, met with them. We proposed, as I say, they spent over $170,000.
I understand everything that, Scott, I understand everything that they've done. There's still a problem. In my opinion, we need to do something. For Mike and Kathy, have you guys had any conversations related to the situation with the owners? I know we know them. Has there
The-
been any conversation related to that with the owners? Do they know that, do they know that there's a serious concern here? And do we have the ability to, like they've asked, can we impose restrictions? And if they don't comply, we don't renew their license. I think it's come to that for me.
I know they are aware. I have not had any conversations directly with them. I've only spoken with Scott and Pat and the chief, and whenever we have our meetings, that's
For me, it's an easy fix, and maybe Pat can address testimony.
What's the
So-
easy fix?
For me, the easy fix is turn off the music at 10 o'clock. You're done.
Thank you. That's it.
It's over. No more music.
Come over on Saturday
They're
night.
getting fined, Scott. Yes. So they don't.
Right, but you guys approved the bar, which wasn't a great idea. No, you're not suffering as much as we are. Yeah.
But a few things that you said, and also, Mayor, that you said. So at the planning board meeting where this was conditionally approved, this bar, I was here with my husband. We had pages and pages of questions because we went to City Hall and looked at the plans before the meeting so we'd be prepared. And then when we got here, the plans that were here were different. And they said, oh, yeah, we just printed them out this morning. So that was nothing that we could have looked at until we got to the meeting. And then the architect, when I asked about, the garbage area and a couple things, he got a new plan and he was scribbling with a pen on plans. And I said, okay, so are there plans at this meeting that you can vote on? Because I worked for municipal engineers, and I've been to lots of planning board and zoning meetings, and I have never been to one until that one where there were not signed and sealed plans by a professional engineer. It got voted on. Board members said, oh, well, there's going to be a condition, there's going to be a list of conditions that we're voting on. And I said, well, is that going to be ready and before the end of this meeting, before you vote? And they kind of laughed at me, brushed it away, and didn't answer the question. So that's exactly what happened. There were plans here that were not complete. They were not finished. They were not sealed and signed as they should be. And there was not a list of conditions that the public or anybody else could see. And yet the board voted to approve it. How do you explain that?
So Liz, it actually happens probably more frequently than you think. The zoning board gets plans, and then they will ask for a modification for approval. We don't sit on the planning board. We will, we get copies of the cases that are coming up. I'll review them. The next day I might call Roger and say, what happened, what got approved, what didn't. And he'll say, this one got approved with this change and this modification, this one. So
how do you vote on something if it's not determined yet?
So they bring the plans. There are modifications. They have to have the final sealed plans in before they get their construction permit.
But yet you voted
Plans
to
have
approve it.
match
It was already approved.
with those conditions.
So how does that help the public? What was the point of having the public here? So do you remember me talking about the trash enclosure? How many people they have? They know how much trash they generated this summer. So they're adding 89 people. That's what engineers do. You can figure these things out. You model, estimate. The trash enclosure isn't big enough. They have to empty it. They have people running down the street to their real estate office to throw away bags of trash because it's overflowing. And I've sent pictures. You've all seen my pictures with trash blocking the whole fire exit, emergency egress area. It's a fire hazard. And they do it. They're still doing it. Just this past spring, on my Ring camera, there's bags of trash in the egress, the emergency egress. So if there's a fire or an emergency and people have to run out of there, people could get hurt, and that's on you guys. And that's okay. You're shaking your head. That's okay with you?
I mean,
My point that I'm making right now is that I stood here at that planning board meeting before it was approved and explained to everybody that it was not big enough. And yet you approved it. And unless I call or one of us calls, nobody will know that the egress is blocked. So you guys or the planning board approved. All the windows are going to be open when there's people in there in the summer because it's not air conditioned. They can't keep the windows closed. It'll be boiling hot. How do you not consider that an outdoor bar? And before it had windows last summer, how did you not consider that an outdoor bar? You're
You're off.
saying that
Scott, your
you
microphone.
shouldn't live next to a bar, but we didn't live next to this thing. This was approved by the planning board and it should not have been. So the windows are just going to be open. So the fact that they spent all that money doesn't really matter because they're going to be, you see how they are there. It's like an accordion.
We weren't there at the planning. We weren't
So
there.
you still have to take responsibility. You're the city solicitor. You're the mayor. You have to, but the city of Margate, the planning board approved something that was not final, that wasn't, we couldn't ask questions.
They come in today, I believe they had 2 full public hearings, right? But
Yes.
2 full public hearings. How many hours? 6 hours? So it's not like, oh, somebody rubber stamped it and just pushed it through.
It absolutely got rubber stamped. But we made all the points that we made and nothing was done about them. There's still no windows. There's still,
What is it?
right. So they need air conditioning and they need a solid surface roof, or they need to shut off the music at 10 o'clock, like every other bar in town. So upstairs, they need to not have a DJ going on at 8 o'clock every single night that goes till 2 o'clock in the morning. So why can't we say no more music upstairs after 10 o'clock? That's what they said they were going to do. And that was why I asked at that planning board meeting, is there going to be a list of conditions here? Because had there been, and we could see what everybody's voting on, it would have been written down. But you're saying they just basically stood here and lied to us, lied to you, lied to the board, lied to everybody, the town. But because it's not written down and it's not in the conditions, which we weren't allowed to see, which we couldn't see, that weren't available that night, even though it was voted on and approved, so they can't be held to that.
Again, I wish I could give you a better answer as far as the conditions and how that works. Yeah,
So
I
they
just
stood
know
here, you're agreeing. They stood here and said they were going to
I'm not
turn off the music
with that. What
at
I'm
10
saying
o'clock.
is, all I'm saying is there is a difference. I did not hear any of the testimony that says they were going to do X, Y, and Z. I did not hear the
I
conditions.
was here at the meeting. They stood right there.
So I
We're going to
can't-
have the music off.
Mike,
The lawyer
do
said.
we have the ability to listen to the testimony? I'm sure that
Yeah,
we
it's on
do,
the
right?
website.
It's
So-
our lawyer. It's in the letter. They went through. They scoured it. They made a transcript. They wrote down every single thing they said, and it's in the letter that you have. Everybody should have it.
When the board votes at the following meeting, and the conditions would be in that report,
The conditions are, yes, they're in the
right? So
DNR. Leo reads the conditions at the hearing. So the board knows what they're voting.
So Pat, could you do me a favor and review this?
I don't care how much money they spend on those windows. They keep them open. They're not stationary windows. If they keep the windows open, the noise, I hear it 2.5 blocks away.
As a citizen of this community, as most of us are, and as, thank you so much, Commissioner Blumberg. And I mean, I have friends in Longport who complain about it, but you need to think about your people that are paying your salaries, which you have a 10 o'clock curfew here in the summer with those teenagers that made me move because they were hanging at Wawa, and raised the fine. First time, 500, 1,000. Third time that night, shut them down.
I have had more headaches. There is an issue that we need to define, and we need to define if that is outdoor space or not. We need a clarification. I've asked for that clarification, and if we can define it, it will move us on from this. I have had so many conversations with everybody in this room, the attorneys, the owners, and I think that would clarify some things. Is it indoor space? Is it not indoor space? Is it outdoor space? And I think that will clarify some issues.
Can we vote now? It's outdoor space.
Outdoor space, obviously.
Commissioner, I just want to be clear. You want me to review?
Listen to the testimony
Right.
that they are referring to. There's a tape from the planning board where they agreed to certain conditions
Okay.
so that we can have an idea whether or not there are things that we can or cannot
There
enforce.
are 2 meetings you have to listen to.
And Roger can help you with that.
Okay.